Ladies and gentlemen, Dallas Fuel are back. I'm Stylosa and this is Unit Lost. So, we've actually got a beautifully huge amount of Overwatch League stuff which has gone on recently. So, just to get you guys up to speed, what I want to do in this video is talk about Dallas Fuel. I also want to talk about New York, but I want to talk about the LA Valiant as well, because they are the Stage 4 champions. Bit of a spoiler there, probably should have warned you, but they are, and that is awesome. Arguably, the first Western team to do this. Now, when I say Western team, there's this thing in esports where you've got foreigners, Western teams, and all of this stuff. Let me just explain what's going on with that. So, Western team probably it speaks for itself. A team from the West. This means a non-Asian, a non-South Korean team, basically. In Korea, foreigners are, or a foreign team is anybody who's not Korean, right? Which obviously it would be the case, you know, in Britain. If you're not from Britain and you're in the country, you're a foreigner. So that kind of makes sense in that way. Anyway, when we say the first Western team to take a stage, what we mean by that is the first team with Western players. Now, the only other previous stage champions have been NYXL, a completely Korean team, and London Spitfire, a completely Korean team. So it is good in one way for the scene and for Overwatch as a whole to show that the Koreans are not indestructible. They're not going to win everything. Now, of course, they could go on and absolutely win the entire thing because the playoffs happen next month and that they're going to be absolutely huge. And of course, London and New York are in that, and New York are obviously the favourites for that. But we still got LA Valiant in the mix there. You've got Philadelphia Fusion. You've got LA Gladiators. So there's a lot of teams that are still there, and Boston, which can do things, and that are from the West. Anyway, let's talk about Dallas, and we'll get onto LA Valiant in a second. So Dallas have had a really messy season. When they came into the season, everybody was like, right, this team has got to be top 4, maybe top 5. Some people even put them as like the second best team or the third best team. They bombed. They really, really bombed. In the overall standings, they're near the bottom, which isn't great. Now, what happened with Dallas is it's a very complex issue, and I don't think we'll ever really know the details of this, but as an outsider watching what went on, you can kind of make some conclusions and some assumptions. Now, assumptions, as we all know, are the mother of F-ups, ladies and gentlemen, so they could be wrong. But when you look at their team going into the start, and that, by the way, was an absolutely beautiful mini grab hook combo there. When they went into the season, they were, envious. This was a team which went to Korea the first time in esports history as a foreign team in Korea and won the tournament. Any tournament in any esports. That's never happened. Internet Hulk was part of that team, and may God rest, may his soul rest. Like, Internet Hulk was a legend, absolute legend. And it's obviously a shame that he's no longer with us, but envious. They were strong. They were really, really strong. And so coming into Overwatch League, we were expecting them to be strong. It didn't actually work out that way, for a whole host of issues that I don't think we're ever really going to find out. However, there were some additions to the envious roster. There was Seagull, who was in jail for a very long time, but has recently been let free, and he's showing us that he is in fact a top tier player. Because Seagull, good old Brandon, he takes a bit of heat sometimes. Like, oh yeah, streamer, is he really of this level? Is he good enough to play now? Well, I mean, he's proven he is. Like, there's no beating around the bush here. You can debate this however you like. He's played at the highest level. He has got some of the best diva statistics we've seen in this stage, and that just goes to show you that he went away, he learned his craft. Obviously with him, it's the duality going on of, do you want to stream? Do you want to be a pro gamer? And he looked at this and realized that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Like, where else could you compete at this level? You can't be both, as XQC pretty much found out, but you can't do both. Now, I know from being I hate this word, but like an influencer and all of that, and seeing all of that sort of side of the industry, that Seagull, and he knows this as well, could have made an absolute shed load of money if he just carried on streaming. The thing is, right, and this is a bit of a statement where people can sort of see this as like, what are you talking about? Like, but money isn't everything, and there comes a point where you have to do what you have to do. And Seagull wanted to be a pro player, so he dedicated himself to that fully. Like, yes, he streams every now and again. Yes, his stream is still going to be, popular when he does it, but he's not a dedicated streamer. If he was, he would be, who knows where he would be. But he decided to go the OWL route. And he's showing us right now, he's showing all the people that didn't believe in him that he is capable of playing at this level. There is no question about it. So, let's talk about XQC, because this was obviously another bit of an issue with Dallas Fuel, which showed, in my eyes, their kind of poor management of their players, the lack of support. XQC is a player that was not given any support by his team and was pretty much left out to dry, which is not great. I'm not talking about tactical support. I'm not talking about support of his teammates. I'm talking about somebody sitting down with him and going, XQC, Felix, please stop doing what you're doing because it's going to end bad for you, right? Now, arguably, it's probably ended the best way possible for him. I think he always wanted to be a streamer, maybe more so than a pro. I mean, obviously, I can't speak for him, but I think... actually, I guess that's not true. I think he wanted to be a pro, and he is good enough to be a pro. Definitely in that tank role. But, things work out as they work out, and it was kind of like, yeah. But all of this culminated in a lot of issues with Dallas Fuel. It meant that there was a lot of drama. There were players getting fined. We've got Effect, which I haven't even touched on, who had loads of problems and was really trying to carry the team. He's since went away to Korea. Effect's not been in the team for this stage, and the team have performed the best. Make of that what you will. And Effect is a mechanically supremely gifted player. Then you've got things like this where they were putting Taimu on Winston, which is crazy. You've got Taimu coming back to the fore, like he blows hot and he blows cold, but he's blowing hot now. And there's all these things going on with Dallas. It's a very complex team. One thing I will say about Dallas, though, it has by far the biggest fan base in Overwatch League. You can see this just by looking at the viewing figures whenever they play. So what you were watching in the background here was the Dallas Fuel playing against NYXL in the playoffs for Stage 4. Now, unfortunately, they lost 3-2, but they gave it a really good go. And of course, when you look at players like Mickey, extremely good Brigitte, they adapted to the new meta really fast. Like me as a London Spitfire fan, Dallas destroyed London Spitfire because Spitfire didn't really know what to do. Well, I mean, that's not fair. Spitfire did know what to do, but they tried to go about it in a way which is more difficult than needed to be in a sense. So it's a shame. But the good news is Dallas are looking like a much better team. I can't wait to see them in Season 2. If they make some additions to their roster, I think that'll be great. But I think they've got actually a pretty solid team unit. And if they can keep playing as they're playing and they start off Season 2 strong, I think the sky could be the limit for this team. You could look at them and they could realistically take that slot everybody was giving them at the start of this season, where it was like 3rd or 4th position. I think I had them in 4th position possibly, which could be huge. So let's talk about the LA Valiant, the best team from LA. So in the Battle for LA, as they call it, where Gladiators play Valiant, Valiant have won that 4 times, and I think they've lost it once, so they're 4-1 in regards to LA Gladiators. Now, obviously that means that they're the better LA team, but they are the better LA team. There's no question about this. They are second in the standings. They are the winners of their division, which means that they go straight through into the semi-finals of the grand playoffs for the entire Overwatch League, which happen next month, which is going to be absolutely huge. I think them and NYXL are through as the top 1 and 2 seeds. And then you've obviously got all the other teams that are in the playoffs. So let's talk about Valiant, because Valiant are if Dallas Fuel have had a bit of a redemption story, a redemption arc, they've come back from the sort of lows of every stage so far and performed quite well in Stage 4 and managed to make it to the playoffs, albeit with help from London Spitfire, just about though, because London almost got 4-0'd by Philadelphia, and if that had happened, then Philly would have been in the playoffs instead of Dallas. Anyway, LA Valiant started off a bit meh. We all remember the in and out thing with agilities. Now, if you don't, I'm not going to put this in the video, but you guys can Google it. This was pretty embarrassing. This is where Noah, the owner of Immortals, who is the owner of the LA Valiant, took agilities to in and out for some reason and said, look, this is your last chance, I'm going to basically get rid of you. It was quite unprofessional. It was quite cheesy, and a lot of people went around and sort of parodied this, and it was like, oh yeah, look at this, it's pretty funny. Yeah. However, agilities has upped this game, so it worked. I'm not saying it was the in and out that fixed agilities, but agilities did up his game. But the same is true for a lot of the Valiant players, or in fact all of the Valiant players. I think when you look at their roster, a player like Kareev is really underrated. Like, he is a really good Zen. When you talk about Zen, a lot of people generally go for Jonak, or they might go for Badosin. 2 extremely good players. I mean, Jonak is just ridiculous. Badosin's a really good player. But Kareev is up there as well. Slightly different Zen playstyle, but extremely good. I think, though, the way Valiant got better is when they changed their roster around. When they got rid of Unko and they brought in Custer. Custer, for me, is a little bit of a dark horse. I think he is really, really good as a captain, as a figurehead of the team. I think he really brings them together. I think Valiant had some issues, or at least it seemed like this from looking, from the outside, where their issues lied with maybe the egos on the team were sort of clashing. Maybe there were different camps in the team. and it was causing some issues, some problems. And that's not what you want. You don't want your team divided. Your team has to play together, especially in Overwatch. If your team is not friendly with each other, are not able to work together, have got issues with individual teammates and stuff like that, it will bleed into the game and it will cause problems. And I have no doubt that this is probably one of the reasons why Seoul Dynasty are not playing that well. I think they suffer from this in probably a big way. Anyway, Valiant have really upped their game. The players all seem to have developed. They've definitely got a very strong core roster. They've got very good players. Players like Soon, he is a phenomenally good player. He's fantastic on Widowmaker. He's great on Tracer. And obviously, we're not seeing much Tracer in the Stage 4 meta because of Brigitte shuts it down quite hard. But we're seeing Widowmaker. She is the primary DPS. She is the most powerful DPS. And of course, a lot of these Tracer players have transitioned over to playing the Widowmaker because she can just delete people instantly if she lands that shot, which is super, super, super powerful. So what this actually resulted in throughout the season as Valiant started to go forward is they started off quite weak and then gained more traction and then started to pile on wins and then started to consistently get wins and then started to consistently perform. Valiant is, I like to compare them to sort of Philadelphia. When Philadelphia are playing really well, in my head, it's kind of very similar to when Valiant are playing well. The thing is, Valiant manage to play well more often. They're way more consistent. And this is evident by the fact that they're second in the overall standings and that they won their division and that they go immediately through to the semi-final playoffs. So what I'm going to do now is we're just going to take a look at what's going on here on the screen. We're not going to go into massive detail on this. We're not going to analyze it. I'm not going to bring out the pen. We're not going to draw on it because this is the final game in the Stage 4 playoffs. So what we've got here is NYXL against LA Valiant, and it is on Blizzard World. Now you can see there was no progress made by the NYXL, which was kind of strange, although sometimes you see this happen quite a lot in Blizzard World. It is difficult to cap this first point, but once you get it, you normally get all the way through to the second point. However, LA just need to take this point and then they take the stage finals. And of course, as I spoiled at the start of this video, they do take it and they do win. But it's through really good teamwork. There was a bit of discussion with NYXL maybe not trying their best this stage because they don't care, because they're so far ahead of everybody else. Why should it matter? I don't think that's necessarily true. I think that maybe, you can see that was a fantastic hook there, combo with Space and Fate. Fantastic. And by the way, Space is an insane player. They're all really good players. Every Overwatch League player is really good, but they're just Valiant just seem to have really good players in all of the right places, and they seem to be working really, really well. But yeah, so NYXL, there was discussion about them being maybe not trying. That's never really true, I don't think. I think their preparation may not have been the best. There was kind of a bit of a meme going around where they were just playing Minecraft instead of actually practicing or scrimming, or they just drop out of scrims because, hey, we don't care. But still, there is a mental sort of side to this, isn't there? Because if you start losing, then that breeds, the acceptance of defeat sort of encourages its repetition in a way. So NYXL had such a strong winning streak that if they kept that up, I think it just would have put them on another plane. But then you can't do that all of the time. But is this NYXL's final form? I don't know. We're probably going to see in the playoffs, and it would be without a doubt which teams are the best. We'll get to see, are London on the up and up? Are they capable of taking out these other teams? Are LA Valiant as good as we think they are? What will NYXL do? Are they the favourites? Yes. Will they be able to follow through? We'll have to wait and see. What about Boston? What about Gladiators? There's a lot of teams here. What is going to go? What's going to happen? I think it's going to be super interesting. The fact is, though, LA Valiant have performed fantastic this season, and they are by far the second best team. NYXL are the best team. There is no question about that. Dragons are the worst team, and they went, they literally lost every game. There may be a video on Dragons in the future on the channel, because I think it would be interesting to break it down, because they went 40-0. They lost every game. That is insane. Anyway, let me know what you think about all of this in the comments below, guys. If you're an Overwatch League fan, let me know what team you support. Let me know who you'll be supporting in the playoffs, and I just cannot wait to see it. Hopefully I get to go there and I can see it live. It'd just be fantastic. Anyway, all right, guys. I've been Stylosa. This is Unit Lost, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Toodaloo.